the people in his administration.
All right. Well, I've talked to people in my inner circle that say you have an IQ of about 20. You're a MAGA moron. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears. Stop trying to paint broad strokes and say Democrats do the same thing, because I haven't talked to a Democrat in my life that's as dumb as you.
Well, today's a rough couple of days, obviously, Brian, with these attacks. And it's a shame that we're 2 days into the year and this is what we're talking about already. But I think it's important to note that the orange orangutan, as you refer to him, is not the president of the United States yet. And that a lot of what's going on, a lot of these people in the United States that are being, radicalized, it's sad to say that you could think that two servicemen that served in our U.S. military were so mentally deficient.
What is it? Hold on. What does it matter who the president is? What are you saying?
Because you're blaming it all on Republicans.
No, I'm not. I never. Hold on. No, get the MAGA wax out of your ears. That's not what I said. I'm not blaming the attacks on Republicans. I need you to listen to me. What I am is I'm blaming them for the conspiracy theories. When did I say that Donald Trump or Republicans are responsible? If anything, it's the Republicans. Hold on. If anything, it's the Republicans that are blaming it on Democrats. They're blaming the open border. They're blaming it on Joe Biden. What are you talking about? What have I said on this show? I'm not blaming the Republicans for the attacks. I'm blaming them for the conspiracy theories. Do you not understand what I'm saying?
So you're saying that Democrats don't do the exact same thing?
Can you give me an example? Okay, I'll answer your question by asking a question. Can you give me an example of a terrorist attack where immediately in the aftermath, in the next 24 hours, a majority of Democrats, including an incoming or former president, were blaming migrants or basing it on a lie for what took place? Can you give me one example of anything like what's taken place in the last 24 hours?
Let me just say that the attack in New Orleans.
So you can't give an example. So you can't. You won't answer my question.
You won't let me talk, which is what you always do. You try to paint people into a corner and not give them an opportunity.
People like you dodge the question. You don't answer it, dummy. Why don't you answer the question?
I'm going to answer your question. Those conspiracy theories start fully Democratic city in New Orleans, run by all Democrats.
The Republican governor is more MAGA than you could ever imagine.
I might add. Okay. So the guy who ran down people on the street on Bourbon Street was wearing an ISIS flag.
Okay.
So, and then they covered it up when they released the photos. And then at the press conference, which you very, very correctly described as an S show, which it was, had the worst messaging ever possible.
All right, you haven't answered. No, I'm going to stop you. No, I'm going to stop you because you haven't answered my question. You just said Democrats quote, Democrats do the same thing. I don't need you to filibuster. Give me an example of a large terrorist attack where in the immediate aftermath there were conspiracy theories and intentional lies, because that's what Donald Trump did.
So why are we limiting it to a terrorist attack? It's everything in politics.
Give me an example.
It's what they do.
Give me an example.
Go on social media.
No, I'm not going. I'm not going on social media. You made the general statement. Give me an example.
Because you put a jacket on over your Democratic heart doesn't mean you're not a Democrat. You can claim you're an independent.
The question was not. Hold on, Mohammed. The question, Mohammed, you got to stop, Mohammed. Mohammed, I don't care what you think I am. I could care less. The question was, can you name me a terrorist attack or any attack for that matter in the last year or 4 years where Democrats did what Republicans have done in the last 24 hours? Why am I asking this question? Because you painted a broad stroke and you said Democrats, quote, do the same thing. I don't care whether you think I'm a Democrat or not, and I don't care about your opinions on what took place in New Orleans. You're the one who made the comparison, and you sound like a dope because you still won't give me one example. So I'm going to ask again. Give me an example.
If I'm able to talk now?
You've been able to talk for 5 minutes and you haven't answered the question. Answer the question.
So again, why are you limited to? thing like a terrorist attack.
So, okay.
Every day.
Give me an example.
Every day in American politics,
give me an example.
The right blames the left and the left blames the right.
Give me
on almost every issue.
I'm not saying blaming the left or the right. I'm saying the right blamed it on a migrant. The incoming president blamed it on a migrant. And
because the guy was wearing an ISIS flag.
Just because you have an ISIS flag doesn't mean you cross the border illegally, you freaking moron.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. You're an idiot.
There's always information that's inaccurate in the beginning of these things. And people.
So you're excusing. So you're excusing the incoming.
I'm not excusing anything.
You haven't given me. Give me an example of one person that has been killed in an atrocity where half of a party, because that's what happened with the Republican Party yesterday, blamed it on a migrant with misinformation. Can you please give me one example? It doesn't have to be a terrorist attack. Could be anything, because I could give you a plethora of examples. The car crash at the Canadian border, where they said it was a migrant terrorist. When I say they, I mean MAGA morons like you. It was a guy coming back from the casino. The Buffalo mass shooting was a false flag. The bridge disaster, they called it a terrorist attack and a DEI hire. The Super Bowl parade shooting, they said it was a migrant terrorist. It turned out to be an American. The Gonzaga hoop team buses, they said it was a migrant invasion. Give me one example like that from the left. Just one. I'm begging you.
Well, all right. Well, let's go back to all of the cases of systemic racism that you always
be specific
about.
Be specific.
Well, let's pick one where they've said
no. You pick one.
Racially motivated.
No. I don't see. Here's the way this works. I don't give you an example. I ask you to give me a specific example. I just named 5 or 6 examples of right-wing turds like you that lie.
That's your life.
Give me an example.
The other side.
Give me one. You can't give me one example, you dope. You paint a broad stroke, okay? A right-wing MAGA broad stroke. Oh, Democrats do the same thing. And then when I ask you 8 times in this conversation to give me one example, you can't do it. Do you realize how ridiculous you sound? You sound worse than John Kennedy yesterday. That's how ridiculous you sound.
Well, Dan, I heard a bunch of laughs in the room when he cracked his inappropriately.
And guess what?
Joke.
I said those laughs were wrong no matter who laughed about it. Can you give me one example? I'm asking you now for a 9th time. You dope. Give me one example. You're stuttering. You're stuttering now.
Example.
Okay. You can't.
I do because I'm trying to mimic my hero, Joe Biden.
Yeah, very, very funny. Let me tell you something. Joe Biden has more decency in his pinky than you have in your whole body. Let me be honest with you. Your name is Mohammed.
Really?
Really?
Did
you say it was a migrant yesterday?
He's prop him up for 4 years. He's let them prop him up for 4 years.
Okay, yeah.
Did he come clean?
Let me tell you something.
Come clean? Because guess what? A lot of folks in his administration are starting to circle the wagons and cover their own AFSs because they know it's
What are you talking? Who's circling the wagon?
They're
name somebody in his administration that's circling the wagon. Can you give me one name? What do you mean?
There are people now talking about.
Didn't say people. Name me one person.
They managed what he was capable of for the last 4 years because knew cognitive decline.
Hey, Mohammed.
Was significant.
Yeah, I know. You're a doctor. I know. You gave Joe Biden a physical.
Look, I get it. You're still angry that your guy lost.
No. Mohammed, let's focus. Hey, MAGA. Hey, MAGA Mohammed. Hey, MAGA Mohammed. Let's focus for a moment. You said there are, quote, a bunch of people that are circling the wagon. You just painted a broad stroke. Democrats.
I did.
Hold on.
Read the New York Times.
No.
Read the New York Times.
I'm not reading anything. I want you to answer the question, which you haven't answered my first question. Name me one.
In the New York Times, they are talking to people in his inner circle who are saying.
Give me a name.
The people in his administration.
All right. Well, I've talked to people in my inner circle that say you have an IQ of about 20. You're a MAGA moron. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears. Stop trying to paint broad strokes and say Democrats do the same thing, because I haven't talked to a Democrat in my life that's as dumb as you. Thank you for the call, you freaking moron.